Tonight, more information coming out about the spies inside of Trump's campaign and the 7-month investigation that's been going on investigating this. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, I start off every one of these episodes by saying thank you to each and every one of my subscribers. Without you guys, this channel wouldn't work, so thank you to each and every one of you. If you have not hit that subscribe button, please come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified, because as soon as information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, jumping into what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about, well, something that's very important and ties into what we've been hearing from Q as of lately. And where he's pointing our attention in past posts is what's really important, especially when it comes to somebody named Mr. John Turley. So in the last batch of posts that Q put up here, we can actually take one and examine it a little closer. And for those of you out there who want to catch up on where we're at right now, I certainly encourage you to come back here to this channel and start watching some of my later videos. This one right here, the Spygate video that is posted here, was going to give you a lot more information on what the posts themselves are talking about. And then these other videos are really great tools if you want to get this one. I really encourage everyone to come check out, because it's going to give you all the tools you need to understand QAnon further and to do your own research. So I encourage all of my viewers to go back and watch this video if you haven't, or share this with friends, because this video here is going to tell you how to find the Q posts, how to find the research boards, how to put it all together and aggregate the data and analyze the data as you see fit. So that's a great tool for you guys to go check out, and then watch all the videos if you want to catch up. Go back as far as you want and start watching. Or if you're already involved with watching the channel regularly, then I thank you for that privilege to be giving you guys this information. So thank you for that. But we're going to go back and we're going to study this latest post here from May 22nd. And why we're going to study that is because of what's been coming out. I mean, I encourage everyone to go to Donald Trump's Twitter feed and start reading if you want to get some real insight into what's going on in our country, because President Trump's been on fire lately, just giving us more and more information about what's going on and pointing us in the right direction, which is just what Q's been doing. So, as we talk about with Q being Q Intelligence, an anonymous source close to the Trump administration, maybe even those inside the Trump administration working with Q, maybe even Trump himself being a person who has posted to the Q board in the past. But with that in mind, understand that what President Trump's giving us here on the Twitter board, or the Twitter page, his Twitter account, his Twitter feed, is valuable information that's going to go a long way into deciphering a lot of the stuff that we're going to be going through here. And people have asked a lot of questions, right? Because the last post from Q is May 22nd. So I guess everybody's question is, where is Q, right? Where is Q? And I don't know. So I hope that was helpful. No, I kid, obviously. I'm being sarcastic. What I want to say about why Q is left, in my opinion, there's a lot going on here. And I think one of these last few posts is really important, because it tells us a lot about what's going to be happening here. And we're going to go into these other posts a little bit more later, but maybe not in this video, but certainly in other videos to come. But tonight we're going to focus on this particular post, right? So you have this post here, right? And we're going to read it in a second, but first I want to show you what prompted this to come up. President deserves some answers, quote unquote, at Fox News in discussing quote unquote Spygate. And that's Donald Trump's Twitter feed from basically today or yesterday, depending on what time zone you're in right now. So this is fascinating, right? And then if you go back and read the following post right after it, here's a great. Sally Yates is part of concerns people have raised about bias in the Justice Department. I find her actions to be really quite unbelievable. Jonathan Turley is being quoted by the president today. This is going to be very important. And the next one, we now find out that, and this is a quote from Jonathan Turley, it says, "We now find out that the Obama administration put the opposing campaign's presidential candidate or his campaign under investigation. That raises legitimate questions. I just find this really odd. This goes to the heart of our electoral system." Another John Turley quote. Why is that important? Well, I see this as another confirmation of Q. We've been hearing for a long time about this article, and Q keeps telling us to reread it, and he even emphasizes here to reread it slowly and carefully. So that's exactly what we're going to do here on this episode. We're going to reread this entire article slowly and carefully, and it's going to correlate to a lot of things that we're talking about today. And this is all the way back from March 31st. So this was approximately 2 months ago this article was written. And why is it so important today? It's important today because we're getting evidence of the crimes that have been committed. We're getting evidence to connect who is involved with Loop Capital, who is involved with the way that the money and transactions were being made there. We have evidence about who was involved with Uranium One. What is Rosatom and how were they involved? And how did the Clinton Foundation become involved with that? I mean, and we even have evidence of what's going on at the FBI and the DOJ, where we have verifiable evidence of people who are involved in these incredible schemes to actually undermine the duly elected president and to spy on him and to spy on his campaign on behalf of the adversarial campaign. So, the opposition campaign. So these are big things, these are very big things that we really, really have to go back and re-examine. And we can't just sweep all this under the rug. This is why this article that we're going to read through here is so important, because now reading it with the hindsight of knowing all of these incredible things that we were able to put together, right? So how did the people involved there take the U.S. tax dollars and then funnel them through Loop Capital to their and then back through to themselves from corporate sponsors, corporate donators? How did all that happen? How did the Clintons get this arrangement where they were receiving in their foundation millions of dollars while at the same time sitting and helping to approve the deal that would sell uranium to a foreign actor who then would distribute that uranium to other countries that we consider enemies of the state, allegedly, from what we can put together so far? And then at the same time, what happened here where we have Peter Strzok and Lisa Page texting about awful things about the president and how they hate the president, and they're the ones in charge of the Hillary Clinton investigation, and they're the ones in charge of interviewing General Flynn and James Comey and Jim Baker and Bruce Orr, Andrew McCabe, James Rubicki, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, David Loftman, Michael Corton. These people are all going to be under investigation by Michael Horowitz for the things that they've done, the alleged crimes that have been committed. And these crimes are very serious, folks. So we're going to read through this article, and I hope this helps explain a lot of things to you guys, because I just read through it for like the 7th or 8th time probably, because this thing keeps getting reposted, and it makes more and more sense every time I read it, especially given the way that news continues to break. And if you go and just look at what Donald Trump's saying, where now he's quoting Jonathan Turley, I think that we are meant to reread this slowly and carefully. So that's exactly what we do, what we will do. And then the article obviously is from March 31st, which was about 2 months ago, and it says Turley, and this is the article line here talking about Jonathan Turley saying, Sessions appointing Utah federal prosecutor much better for Trump than second special counsel. Let's just read through the article, and I hope that presenting it to you is going to make a lot of sense, because just rereading it has just every time I reread it, I find something new that I think is fascinating and that connects to new developments in this story. So I'm going to read it for you guys here, and we're going to reread it slowly and carefully, just as Q has advised us to do in his last set of posts. And I hope that this resonates with each and every one of you, and that you're all able to go down in the comments and leave your thoughts about and theories and insights into what could be being referenced in this article, which is a part of the QAnon dynamic that we've developed here. See, because with or without QAnon, we have enough. I mean, to be quite honest, without Q, I have enough material just from what we've been given to do this from here to for the next 5 or 6 years, just covering the evil, covering the satanic pedophile globalists, covering their cabal, covering their corruption, covering their criminal syndicates, their foundations, quote unquote, So this is just another way for us to go back and reanalyze this information, because it's very important to look at it and continue to look at it, because it's going to continue to be very important. So Professor Jonathan Turley, a top national legal expert on government investigations, commented on Thursday about Attorney General Jeff Sessions' decision to bring in U.S. Attorney John Huber. Turley called it brilliant, quote unquote, to combine all the powers of the U.S. Department of Justice's Inspector General with a prosecutor who can bring charges, seek indictments, and get results for President Trump far more quickly than a second special counsel. Turley is a law professor at George Washington University who attained national fame during the 1998 impeachment of President Bill Clinton as a top legal authority on special counsels and congressional investigations of governmental wrongdoing, including criminal wrongdoing. His reputation has only grown during the intervening 20 years as he has weighed in on scandals and investigations of public officials from both political parties. Sessions sent a letter to House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, House Oversight Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy, and Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, informing them that Huber is conducting a full-fledged criminal investigation into all matters Republicans are calling for a special counsel to investigate. Huber has been investigating these possible crimes for 5 months since November 13th, 2017. This is the first part I think so important. Sessions reassured Goodlatte, Gowdy, and Grassley that there has been an ongoing investigation into the Clinton Foundation criminal cabal all the way through Obama spying on the Trump administration since November 13th of 2017, which means as of today, this investigation has been going on for, I think, a little over 7 months. Okay? Why is that important? It's important because it's incredibly revealing that this has been going on for quite some time, and that Sessions behind the scenes has been working to orchestrate these many different basically closed door investigations into all of these accusations that are being brought to our attention vis-a-vis the alt-right media or the alternative media, or sources like QAnon, or sources other truth media out there that try to report on these things and break these stories regularly, like Breitbart, whoever. So this is incredible. I mean, this is the bombshell that I think we've all been kind of just skipping over and scanning over, because it seems repetitive to hear this several times. But this is all going to keep expanding into more that we're going to talk about here. So the next one, during an interview on Lou Dobbs' Fox Business Network show, Turley explained to guest host Stuart Varney that the media are wrongly reporting that Sessions will not appoint a second counsel. Quote, he did not foreclose the possibility of special counsel, unquote. He insisted. Instead, Turley explained that Sessions has ordered Huber to quote, team up with the Inspector General within the Justice Department to investigate these matters, unquote. Sessions informed Congress in his letter that all the matters recommended for investigation by Goodlatte, Gowdy, and Grassley are, quote, fully within the scope of Huber's existing mandate, unquote. He also informed the chairman that Inspector General Michael Horowitz, who is working with Huber, has a staff of 470 investigators, giving Huber access to enormous investigative firepower that far exceeds the staff of any special counsel. This is cool. This is a good point to take away from this too, because if we're doing things like we're broadening the scope to look at Loop Capital, and this is all going to come up in the article here where it explains how the scope of their investigation doesn't have to be to people who are actually still government officials. It can actually extend to people who are former government officials who have been alleged to have committed crimes. So we can go all the way back to Loop Capital. We can go all the way back to Uranium One. We can go all the way back to what happened during the Trump campaign and the Spygate story. So that's why that's important. But here it says, that point is a critical because as Sessions' March 29th letter explains, the Inspector General's jurisdiction to conduct civil and criminal investigations includes, quote, actions taken by former employees after they have left government service, unquote. Then Huber can act on any of those matters. As a U.S. attorney, Huber has full authority to impanel a grand jury and to file criminal charges. A grand jury can be impaneled anywhere, which means that it could be a group of citizens from deep red Utah in the heart of Trump country instead of the D.C. swamp that decides whether to hand down indictments for felony prosecution. Here's another great point that I think we need to re-examine. So we've established that the swamp is a filthy place filled with a lot of very corrupt people. And having an outside prosecutor who can actually impanel grand juries in another state is a point I've made several times here on the channel that I think is very important to note when you examine what could be brought as far as grand jury and indictments against people who are beloved in certain areas, even though they may or may not be criminals. I mean, here's the thing. What worries me the most is that you have those who were in power who, by using the media and using all those different tools of basically manipulation and subliminal thought control, all that stuff. I'm not saying mind control, I'm just saying subliminal thought implanting, and you can control people's emotions, you can control how they kind of think, right? So you manipulate those through different ways. I mean, I guess there's 100,000 different ways you can manipulate somebody's emotions, but even if it's just as simple as the programming you watch having certain tones or inflections that elicit certain responses or certain scenarios that are meant to force our minds to think a different way. Those are what I'm talking about. And what's important to understand here is that the actions taken by former employees that have left government service, well, what would that be relating to? I don't know. Maybe the fact that the FBI had a spy in the Trump campaign that was trying to find a job with the Trump administration. Look at this guy. Now, this isn't a swamp creature. I don't know what it is. This guy, I've heard of him before, Stephen Halper. I think I've even seen him in an interview at some point. But this guy looks to me like, and I'm not into like really name calling or anything, but unless they're really scummy, and this guy just seems to me like he looks like Jabba the Hutt if he were a human, but then that would be almost a compliment to somebody of this character. But let's just keep talking about how that would affect everything. Well, if you think about it, people who are involved, like this Stephen Halper, involved in spying on the Trump campaign and trying to basically get into the administration to do even more spying, one would presume, and maybe even plant evidence or try to manipulate the administration from within, infiltrate and destroy would be the tactic that I would be thinking of there. That is in and of itself just deplorable, and that is worthy of an investigation. And that's what we're hearing. So that's what Trump's trying to tell us, especially in the other tweet here, where it's saying, the president deserves some answers on Spygate, basically. So continuing, it says, as a U.S. attorney, Huber has full authority, and it says the Inspector General's jurisdiction extends not only to allegations of legal violations, but also allegations that department employees violated established practices as well. Sessions added in his letter, which means that the Inspector General's report can hold people accountable even for actions that do not violate a specific statute. And that's very interesting as well, because then that way they're putting it into the frame that the legal violations are legal violations, regardless of whether they fall under the jurisdiction or a statute that is trying to explain the jurisdiction of the Inspector General, that there is always going to be an ability for a prosecutor to prosecute legal violations, right? And it says, quote, I think Sessions did the right thing here, quote and unquote, said Turley quote, I think the president should listen to General Sessions on this one, unquote. And then Sessions, quote, can always appoint a special counsel, unquote, Turley explained, but that should not even be necessary because Hubert, quote, has the ability to prosecute cases, unquote. And it says, quote, and this was Varney asking, do these prosecutors have the same power to investigate and get to the bottom of things that a special counsel would have? And then Turley responds, actually, yes. I think people are missing what could be a brilliant move here by Sessions, where what he did is essentially combine the powers of the Inspector General with the powers of a line prosecutor. And it says, another quote from Turley here is, this prosecutor does not have, or does have not just the, okay, excuse me, this one should be up before when I read it a few times. This prosecutor does have not just the experience and training to look for a criminal case. He has the ability to move a case of that kind in court, Turley emphasized. Not only that, but if Sessions believes crimes were committed, but Hubert for some reason does not bring charges, quote, Sessions has reserved the right to go ahead and appoint a special counsel, said Turley. That's a powerful combination, he observed. Then Varney asked if Hubert and Horowitz's status as Obama holdovers creates a possible problem for Sessions and Trump. Turley said no, observing that each man has a great reputation as a dogged investigator. So this goes back to the whole not everybody is corrupt idea, and that there are some out there who obviously, and I would say there's a lot of people out there who aren't a part of the swamp, who work and try to work for what's good, and it applies to the other side of the aisle too. I don't want a blanket statement and say all liberals are crazy, although the majority of those running that party are out of their minds, in my opinion. It's definitely not going to be, I'm not going to be one of those people who says the rank and file in every way are unbearable Obama loyalists who were involved in the globalist cabal's plans. No, I choose not to go down that path, but I'll let you guys let me know what you think in the comments, obviously, as always. But this is saying that Hubert and Horowitz make a great team because the ability for Horowitz to keep conducting his investigation that's been going on for 7 months now into all this corruption, into the FBI spying on President Trump, and then to have Hubert, a person who can impanel grand juries outside of the D.C. swamp. This combination is what's going to end up basically breaking down the ability of the swamp creatures to hold out that much longer. And that, I think, has a lot to do with the silence we've been hearing lately. I truly believe that what we're going through right now is some sort of, necessary period where Q has had to go quiet because things are really getting very serious, okay? So, and we'll go back and examine this post here in a second because there's something else here that I want to go into, which actually I'll just go through this post really quick because since it's so short, but it says, and we'll get back to reading that story. But the next line after he tells us to reread this post says, did you see Paul Ryan interview a short time ago? When you were no longer seeking another term, you are free to make better decisions. And I've actually played the clip in this video here of Paul Ryan speaking. If you guys want to go watch that video, if you want to hear the clip where he says basically that there's an investigation going on, he kind of just lays it out that there was a lot of corruption in that. But this is the one I thought was interesting. Rapid fire, flood is coming, future proofs past CNN in a kill box, which is brackets around CNN. So what I think this is saying is very important. Now Q's gone quiet, and now you're seeing all of this happen in the news. I mean, just look at Donald Trump's Twitter feed. He is laying it out there. He is saying everything he can to basically give us the entire story of what actually happened without actually giving it to us. And you can go back and read through all of his tweets where he's saying that there's so much going on, that the whole Russia probe was rigged, and that the Dems and crooked Hillary lost the election in states that haven't been lost in decades. And they had spies and informants, quote unquote informants, as the Democrats like to call them, because it sounds less sinister, but it's not. All over President Trump's campaign. And And why didn't the crooked highest levels of the FBI or justice contact me to tell me the phony Russia problem? And then another one here where the New York Times quotes a senior White House official who doesn't even exist. I mean, this kind of stuff is what we're up against. The mainstream media. We're getting basically torn apart. And if you guys want to stick around, please stick around, because after we talk about this latest story, we're going to talk about North Korea really quickly, because we have a really big update on that story. It seems like the summit is still going to happen. So let's go back and continue reading this, because I just wanted to say this for this, that the flood is coming rapid fire, that it's all referring to the overload of information that CNN can't cover up anymore, and they can't spin the truth. They can't spin this Spygate. They're gonna lose in the battle against Trump, because the truth is gonna come out that there were spies in Trump's campaign, that there was a concerted effort to undermine his campaign and to spy on his campaign by not only the Obama administration, but on behalf of the Clinton campaign and the DNC. This is all going to come out, and this is all going to be the truth eventually. So that's pretty much what I think this means here, and that's why I think it's so important to go back. And I was just, I've been reading over Trump's tweets for the last couple of days, and I've been wanting to cover them, but I haven't figured out a way to wrap them into it all. And I'm glad I found this way, because it's incredible. It's bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. He lays it out for us. He's even quoting Jonathan Turley. I mean, guys, come on. And everybody wants to tell me how fake Q is. Well, regardless of whether Q is real or fake, the information that we're getting on these boards is turning out to be pretty accurate, and that's really what I care about. I don't care about the idea of what other people want to tell me to think about Q. I'm a critical thinker who can, and you guys are too, who can put this information together for yourselves. But now it's going in to the next part of this article here. We'll just finish this up really quick because it's not that much left here. But it's talking about how Breitbart News separately confirmed that Orrin Hatch and Mike Lee both support John Huber. Huber, he's a Utah lawyer. And here's a good one. It says that distance between him and Washington is very important to really explain, because Huber is not part of the deep state, that is not cozy buddies with the cocktail party scene, that is suspected of perpetrating all these actions against President Trump and his administration. Turley said President Trump should be very happy that Sessions chose this route of appointing Huber, who has the power to seek indictments and prosecute cases, and teamed him up with Horowitz, who has 470 investigators at his disposal if the president wants to see swift and decisive action. If a special counsel were appointed, there would be a great delay, Turley stated, versus the time of Huber and Horowitz, who are already 5 months into this investigation, now 7 months into this investigation. This article is important. I hope that sunk in. I hope that we tied a lot of that together, especially to what's going on today. Okay, so imagine they have 7 months, and now Trump's tweeting all this stuff, and we haven't heard from Q, and there's story after story after story coming out about spies in the Trump campaign. People are going to be held accountable. This is not going to get swept under the rug, no matter how much they try. The horse is out of the stable, or the horse is out of the barn, and we've passed that point of no return at this juncture in time. And then just with this Stephen Halper, this is all going to get released. This is all going to become public, from the Loop Capital to the Uranium One to the spying in Trump's campaign. It's all going to be exposed. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about really quick before we finish up here is the letter that President Trump sent to Kim Jong-un, basically canceling the summit. Now, apparently, President Trump has decided he came out on Saturday and said that we're still trying to have our meeting on June 12th. It's pretty much going to be on, and the president, it seems like he's likely to go sit down with President Kim Jong-un of North Korea in Singapore. Wow, that's a great step in the right direction. Here's another great step in the right direction. The AP is just reporting today that after we've had extensive trips and talks with the North Koreans in North Korea, there's actually seen in Beijing, the North Korean official Kim Yong Chol plan to head to the United States, potentially for more talks to set up the summit. And this is going to be the senior most North Korean official to visit the United States in 18 years. A true sign that we're on the way to progress here. The negotiations are still on and they're still going very well. And this is something that CNN can't even handle. I mean, I went to their page just to see what their headlines are, and it's still trying to bash Trump over his paranoid Spygate conspiracy, because they were just informants, guys. Don't you know that? I mean, haven't you figured that out yet? That they're not spies, they're just informants. Friendly informants who were there like guardian angels watching after Trump, like hovering around him, like the guardian angel Stephen Halper, who floated in the room with his magical fairy, I'm sorry, not spy, informant wings, and just was asking for a job in the Trump administration, obviously to protect Trump. It had nothing to do with, gathering intelligence on Trump or, getting information to try to undermine his campaign or doing it. No. Stephen Halper, he was the guy that you had to go to. Look at him. Who wouldn't think this guy's completely trustworthy? He does not look like a curmudgeonly old man who's like a B-rate stump double for Bob Beckel of the Five. No. He is trustworthy. Trust me. This guy looks, look at him. He looks like, a trustworthy, bloated bullfrog, right? And I'm obviously being sarcastic. This is what it takes to get through to a lot of people that this is serious and that all of this has happened. There have been spies against the president that were put in by the deep state, these unelected officials. We didn't elect them. We didn't give them the power after all the things we've been through as a country. We didn't give them the power to go spy on the president that we want. We didn't sign off on that. I know I didn't. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments, but I certainly would say that is what is going on here. And that's going to be it for this. If you guys want to help me out, please come over here to Justin, Justin Form Talk, at Justin_formed on Twitter. And you guys can check out my page. Give me a follow if you want. And definitely check out the stuff here. And the great thing about this page is that all the posts that I put up will automatically get posted here too. So if the notification button seems to not work on YouTube sometimes, it seems like there's an algorithm that just kicks people out of the notification side of getting my videos. But come over here if you want to get those notifications, or if you want to just keep up with me on Twitter. And definitely I want to reiterate, a lot of people want to talk about how Tommy Robinson is some kind of deception or something like that. I think Tommy Robinson's a genuine guy who's trying to expose some real evil stuff. So definitely let's keep the support up for freeing Tommy Robinson. It's unfortunate that people who are just trying to speak the truth and to warn the public and to get the information out there, those are the ones who are targeted in the UK, where it is 1984. It is Orwell's dystopian future. It is the wrong thought, the thought police. It's there. That's what we're fighting against. So that, first of all, we have to fight it there so it doesn't come here. And that's the first thing. And secondly, we stand with everyone in the United Kingdom who are patriots, who are those who love their country and love. I know a lot of people over in the UK love the United States and love Trump because they want and they wish they had that kind of leadership and that kind of government, because they're sick of the censorship. They're sick of people who are in charge of making the laws and enforcing the laws, deciding to go after people who say mean things on Twitter, as opposed to going after those who are hurting children in real life and trafficking children, because most of them are so implicit or most guilty of the crimes themselves, in my opinion. So, but that's it. Come over here to Twitter and help me out at Justin_form. Give me a follow, give me a like. I'd really appreciate it. And you guys can come leave your own tweets and stuff, and I'll try to retweet or do whatever I can over here. But that's basically going to wrap it up for this episode. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Again, if you're looking for a way to contribute to the channel, the best way to do it is to come here to this landing page. If you have not hit that subscribe button, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That's the best way to help out this channel. The second best way to help this channel is to scroll down at the end of this video, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comment board. There were some specific things I noted throughout the video I want to, maybe talk about with you guys in the comment board. But In general, we try to have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these videos where we cover the latest Q posts and the latest information that's coming out. More overly, we just cover what's happening in the world because, like I said, this QAnon, we have enough information that's been given to us already from QAnon to just take months, if not years, to cover this information. And you can imagine how many people, they have staffs of hundreds of people doing these investigations right now, trying to get enough evidence together in the proper order in order to convict some of these people who are involved in the swamp and the deep state and the cabal and the globalist, Luciferian, pedophile, Satanism. That's what they're trying to do right now, and that's what we're trying to do in real time as well. So you guys go down there and contribute. That's the second best way to help. If you're looking for a way to financially contribute, I really appreciate it. Come over here to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. Censorship's real. Demonetization's real. All of these things happen to YouTube creators, and this is a great way to keep this channel alive and going. And it just comes from small donations from people like you out there who become patrons and support the effort here. So come to patreon.com, search Just Informed Talk. You come to this page, click this button to become a patron. It really helps the channel, and I can't tell you how much it means to me. Come check out my rewards and my goals. You definitely get something in return for your support of this channel. So come here to patreon.com and become a patron. It makes a big difference, and I thank you in advance to everybody who's going to come check that out. Now, before we go, we're going to talk about the most important thing. And what is that? Well, obviously it's God's grace. Why is God's grace greater? Well, it's because all the things we go through on a regular basis can distort our ability to know God's love. And a lot of people are strong and it doesn't affect them that way. But a lot of people are not weak, but they take so much flack and they feel like they're getting so much poured on them, and they feel like they're getting so overwhelmed that it becomes difficult for them to manage how to follow all of these things. And my best advice to everyone out there who's having trouble with is Q this person, or is Q fake, or is Q real, or is this person telling the truth, or is that person telling the truth? Don't worry about all that. First of all, you have your critical thinking ability, and just use your own critical thought. If you think somebody sounds right, then they're probably right. If you think they're wrong, they're probably wrong. And do the research to find out whether it's that they're right or that they're wrong. And that's as simple as that goes. But then the more important thing, which is the second thing, is that you have to reach out to God, and you have to call to God, and you have to pray to God, and you have to open your heart to God, and you have to just throw yourself on the ground. I mean, that's what I've done, and it works. You toss yourself to God's mercy, and you let Him take over your life. Because we can only do so much as individuals. We're basically powerless. And somebody who's really close to me, who I really respect, told me that. And it makes so much sense. We throw ourselves to the mercy of God because by ourselves, we can't do anything. We're powerless. Without God's grace and without God's wisdom and strength and courage and all of those things that we get from God through prayer and through opening our heart and through devotion and through abiding in God, we're powerless without those things. It's like you're an army of one against an army of a million. And then when you have God on your side, it's like you're an army of a million against an army of one, if that makes sense. So I want everyone out there to remember that when God gives you an obstacle, when He gives you a struggle, when He gives you a obstacle to overcome, when He gives you a hardship, a lot of people say to me, and I get this a lot, it's, Craig, God doesn't give us obstacles. The devil does that. And my response to that is, yes, the devil does put obstacles in our way. The devil does give us trials and tribulations. And yes, the devil is responsible for a lot of evil things that end up hitting us and making us have to readjust and evolve and adapt and strengthen our faith and everything else. But I would argue that God also gives us hardships and He gives us these obstacles because there is a purpose to what He has in store for each and every one of us. When we go through these obstacles, when we go through these hardships, when we go through this pain, and it seems like it's never going to end, or it seems like we can't overcome the obstacle, or we can't defeat whatever evil is in front of us. that's when it is most important to remember that God is going to be that mitigating factor. It's going to be the ace in the hole that we all have to know that with his strength, with his guidance, with his courage, with his wisdom, that we're able to overcome it. And then maybe we're going to learn something from it. Maybe that's why it was a part of God's plan in the first place, right? So maybe that's why God would give you some sort of hardship. Maybe it's not to hurt you. Maybe people think of God in this way that it's all going to be, roses and fruit gardens or whatever. And it can be that for the most part, that there's nothing to say that your life can't be great because you love God and you're a person of faith and you're motivated by God every day and he's blessed you and you accept his blessings and it's just a wonderful thing. But there's always going to be little things even here and there that are going to make you go, oh, man, it feels so hard while I'm going through it right now. And then you'll look back maybe a week or 2 weeks or a month or a year and you'll look back and go, wow, if I hadn't gone through that, if I hadn't experienced that hardship, if I hadn't gone through that tribulation or that obstacle, I would never be prepared for these things that are here at my doorstep now. And because of those things I went through, I feel incredibly prepared to handle those new obstacles that are in front of me and to handle them successfully. So that's my 2 cents on it. I hope you guys appreciate that. And I want to tell you all, remember, God absolutely loves you. And we're going to read a little bit from the Bible, just a small portion that refers to what we just talked about. So we're going to read Psalm 35, verse 18 through verses 18 through 22. And I think this really talks about, how the adversities come to the righteous. And it says, "The Lord is near the brokenhearted. He saves those crushed in spirit. Many adversities come to the one who is righteous, but the Lord delivers him from them all. He protects all his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil brings death to the sinner, and those who hate the righteous will be punished. The Lord redeems the life of his servants, and all who take refuge in him will not be punished." So the way I interpret that is, if we worship God, if we put our faith in God, we take refuge in him, the things we go through aren't punishments. No, they're quite the opposite. And they're not even, in some cases, sent by evil or the devil. They're a hardship that God has in our plan because it's going to prepare us for something. It's like going to a fitness camp for a sport. I'm not going to say which sport because I don't know what you guys are into, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, tennis, golf, whatever. You go to a camp to learn how to get better in those areas. And you work hard and you sweat and you get scuffed up and you get beat up. And then you come out of that with a better ability to do that task which you set out to get better at in the first place. Well, it's the same thing with God, but on a greater scale, and for our souls and our whole lives, is that when we get put through these things, they're obviously from God. They're a gift. They're not to be looked on as a obstacle. In most cases, adversity is the gift that God gives us to make us stronger. So that's the point. And I hope if you don't take anything else away from this episode, you just understand that even if you're going through hardship right now, the sun will come out tomorrow and it will be a bright and beautiful day. And I hope that you take advantage of it to the fullest and put your faith in God and remember that not only does God love you, but he believes in you and that he will protect you, and that if you take refuge in him, you will not be punished. So thank you for watching. That's going to be it for this episode. Again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, now's a great time to do it. Come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll be notified when these videos get posted. But I want to say thank you all for watching. This has been Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.